I didn't realize you started it.
I did.
All
It's
because
fine.
of hit points.
All because of hit points. All right. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Bastions and Basilisks. My name is Kalvin.
I am Brandon.
Wow, that was so enthusiastic.
Sorry, I'm like reading this. This is again my first time.
So this episode we're going to discuss artificers or artificers, depending on who you are and how you pronounce it.
I say Artificer because it's the proper pronunciation. Also, I like being an asshole.
Both of those things track. So yeah, we're gonna go over. Neither of us has a whole lot of experience. I love artificers in theory, from what I've read, but I haven't really gotten to play one very much. So as the thing that surprised Brandon here is they get a D8 of hit points.
We were on a whole tangent prior to this.
It's true. It's true.
It's very surprising. I thought they got a D10.
Well, I think sorcerers get a D. No, sorcerers get. Do sorcerers get a D6? I don't remember.
I think sorcerers and wizards do get a D6.
I know wizards get a D6. Now we're going off on a tangent because now I need to know.
Let's continue with the Artificer.
D6. But warlocks get a D8, and anyway, fuck warlocks. Light armor proficiency, medium armor proficiency, and shields. Which I don't know why hit points are surprising when they get medium armor proficiency and shields. Simple weapons, they get thieves' tools, tinkerer's tools, and one type of artisan's tools of your choice. Con and intelligence are their saving throws, which are good. I think sorcerers get constitution, which is shocking. When a sorcerer in the game, one of the games I was playing in, like he would get hit, and they're like, "Oh, roll con." He's like, "Oh, okay, I have a +9." It's like, what? Like, yeah, it's
like how the hell
I'm proficient in it. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, you'd figure it'd be like intelligent, because aren't they intelligence based or like wisdom based?
Sorcerers are charisma. Including artificers, there are only 2 classes that are intelligence based.
Is that wizard and
artificer? That's it.
I guess it would make sense because it is innate for them. So like I guess.
Yeah, and it's it's force of personality. It's following that thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. I had to think about that.
They get artificers they can choose from 2: Arcana, History, Investigation, Medicine, Nature, Perception, or Sleight of Hand.
Sleight of hand, and I would say probably Arcana would make sense because they're making stuff with magic and stuff like that. That would make sense. Now this is of course if you're going for like a role play.
Yeah. It all depends on the character you're playing.
Yeah.
But yeah, sleight of hand. Because you got to have that assumes that you're dexterous
nimble
and you have nimble because you're in there and building small things or whatever. And starting equipment's irrelevant. So magical tinkering is 100% flavor. I mean, you can do up to your intelligence modifier. I think. Yeah, intelligence modifier. So you can have up to 5. Just generally, either an object that sheds bright light in a 5-foot radius. An object emits a recorded message, which actually is really cool. Like some of these are you're like, oh, these are flavor. This is like a little glowing orb thing. That's kind of neat.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't read that correctly at first, so I was like, whenever tapped by a creature, I thought it says whenever you tap a creature, the object. I was like, why would you have a creature walking around with a pre-recorded message like a message machine? It's like it doesn't have to open its mouth. Hi, my name is blah blah blah.
Sorry, I thought it's when you tap. No, I thought it's like I have my phone and I tap you and it's like you're a dick. Like the phone, it's like whenever you tap a creature, it's like you're an asshole. Like it's see that would be funnier. That's not me. It wasn't me.
My sword said to go kill yourself.
Right. It wasn't me. It was my deodorant that said it. But yeah, tap creature, an object emits a recorded message that can be heard up to 10 feet away. You utter the message when you bestow this property on the object, and the recording can be no more than 6 seconds long.
Eminem can put so much into 6 seconds.
That's true. So
true. I don't know why my mind went there.
That's funny. That's fine. Well, I was thinking, like, what if you played like a wizard who had their performer background or something, and so you're casting spells. Like, well, you're like, at what point is this? It's like, that's even funnier because like that would be like, oh, if you're trying to use it to like identify what spell they're casting, be like, you have disadvantage. Like you have person has to roll a perform check to and the other person has to roll a perception check to figure out if they can even tell which part of that was the lyrics and which part of that was the spell verbal components.
I could totally see someone multi-classing with this with wizard, and they start using this as like an extra like way to have a learned spell, so they can just be like, oh yeah, like I have the materials and everything, but like I don't remember the words. Let me just pull out this recording with all the proper words and just like, oh yeah, that's it, and just spell it, like cast a spell. I don't know why. That's just exactly what I was thinking with that too.
I mean, yeah, no, I mean, so you can send a secret message.
That's also really good.
You
can also put this on like a suit of armor, and it'd be like back away, simple stuff like that.
Drop your weapons. You have 15 seconds to comply.
Like,
and it doesn't move. It does nothing otherwise. It just says.
God, that'd be so much funny. Oh yeah, so you can make it so that, and I would argue that it's actually slightly magical.
All right, 1 second.
I would argue that the armor has a slight magical aura to it.
A slight magical aura.
Yeah, so if somebody detect magic, they're like, oh, that's a magic suit armor, and then they're thinking it does stuff, and then it's just you just were like, boop. The object continuously emits your choice of an odor or a nonverbal sound, wind, waves.
We're gonna have to continue reading for a bit. I gotta go move my cars. Sorry.
Oh well, that's rude.
Yeah.
Okay. Wind, waves, chirping, and the like. The chosen phenomenon is perceived up to 10 feet away, which I think is pretty cool. This is me just talking to myself. Good thing I have a lot of experience talking to myself. I mean, it can be good for sleeping, but it can also be good for... I would argue that you could cover the sound, like dripping water or something. You could record dripping water and then kind of, use it as a... Because you'll know when it's happening, so you could use it as a cover. So it has a lot of role play and intellectual uses. A static visual effect appears on one of the object's surfaces. The effect can be a picture, up to 25 words of text, lines, and shapes, or a mixture of these elements as you like. See, that one, once again, kind of like the pre-recorded message. It doesn't have a time limit. But, 25 words of text or a picture... especially if you're a bounty hunter, you're hunting somebody, then you have a picture. So even if you don't have to get it, that would actually be nifty, actually. Lines and shapes. So it's once again, it's another thing that can be used with recording stuff or keeping track of stuff, or because I don't know, it has a lot of, I feel like it has a lot of role-playing uses. Property lasts indefinitely. As an action, you can touch the object and end the property early. Bestow magic on multiple objects. Touching one object, you can only have up to your intelligence modifier.
I'm back. Sorry.
I'm gonna be. You don't get to enjoy. You're gonna have to watch the video now to figure out what I talked about.
Yeah.
Spellcasting is the same. If you know anything about spellcasting, that doesn't fucking change. The fact that they have their tools required is nifty. So they don't use a wand. They use their thieves' tools or their tinkerer's tools or their blacksmith's
whatever
tools.
They decide to use.
Right. Which is one of those things that, and I don't think it's you get to choose. Specifically thieves' tools or some kind of artisan's tools. So you could decide what kind of artificer you are. And so it could be very flavorful what you do. And I think I was reading something, I think actually the magic of Artificer actually explains, do it up. If you want it to be just generic, it could just be generic. You don't have to put a whole ton of flavor into it. But if you want to, to do some flavor stuff, then, you have a whole ton of choices. Cantrips, preparing and casting spells, that's always the same. They use intelligence, ritual casting. So the cool thing about Artificers is they have access to all... They're like clerics in the fact that they have access to all of their spells of that level.
Yeah, that's a good thing. I really much preferred having that over,
Yeah, so it's... I mean, they don't have as many spells. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12... Like 20 spells at most. I lost count and didn't want to redo it. For first level, but I mean, they have a whole ton of cantrips, which I think at some point they could change that out. So it's like... but 18. Yeah, and then, yeah, I mean, they don't have... So they're kind of limited in their spells, kind of, that they can choose from, kind of like Warlocks, because I think Warlocks only have a certain amount of spells, which they're limited to spells they know.
I'm going to wait for Harley to get back.
But if then it's like the wizard, and the next day if they need the spell, they can change it out and they can have that spell the next day. So it has that utility, versatility like wizards do, but they don't have to spend ungodly amounts of money, which is the downfall of wizards. You have to be rich to be a wizard. But I mean, they get good spells. I mean, they don't really have besides their cantrips, they don't really have a lot of damaging spells in their first level spells.
Yeah, it's mostly utilitarian utility.
I mean, absorb elements is a good spell though. That's kind of a bolt that's a defensive and offensive. Somebody casts fireball at you, you can absorb some of it, and then you're like, now I punch you with some fire. Alarm is good. Catapult is... I don't like Catapult because that's a save or suck type of spell, which I'm not a fan of those, which is why Magic Missile is my favorite, first level spell. But in a game I was in, we had a wizard, a gnome wizard, and she put a papaya as the object. And so she actually, I don't know if she killed somebody with the papaya, but she hit somebody, actually hit somebody with a papaya using Catapult. But I think she did, because it was hilarious that she killed somebody with a papaya. It has to be. So it's just one of those things you're like, you know what, it's save or suck, but that's fucking hilarious. But Artificers are better than Wizards in one aspect because they get Cure Wounds.
Yeah. I learned that through you.
Yeah. And then when you get to the point where they can craft things. Anyway, they don't have a million spells, but then they also have spells based on their subclasses, so that's kind of, once again, kind of like clerics. So that's, they're like arcane clerics almost. Except the clerics, I think, have a whole ton of... Infuse item. Infuse item is a cool ability because they can enchant enchant items with magical infusions, and then there's a whole list of those. Some of them are magical items that already exist, so you can make a bag of holding. Or if you're in a game, and you're the only character who doesn't have dark vision, you can make yourself goggles of the night. You want, and the cool thing is. You can know 4 infusions at second level, so you can only have 2 infusions cast, or 2 infusions enchanted, but 4, so you can rotate them out based on what's needed. So once again, very utility.
Yeah, it's also based off of what race you need. Say a human is in your party or something that doesn't have dark vision. I don't think Genasi do. Giants, I don't think have it. I'm not too sure.
Well, Giants are a playable race.
Not Giants, Goliaths, my bad. I think they do. Maybe.
No, they don't.
I'm not too sure. Yeah, it was one of those things
people bitch about dark vision, and they're like, you know how many things don't have dark vision? There's things that don't have, I think we've discussed this, the water Genasi should have dark vision, but they don't?
Yeah, it's really weird. But, you could give this to, a friend.
And the cool thing is there's an argument, or it's not an argument, but it's a conversation we had about the Rune Knight's abilities, but we'll get to that when we get to Fighter. It's the infusion remains indefinitely, but when you die, the infusion vanishes after a number of days equal to your intelligence modifier. So it's... You can give it to somebody and they could keep it forever. But that'd be one of those things that you give it to somebody and then one day it stops working and they're like, oh no. that actually sounds like a really cool, like you're a novice artificer. You go out, like you trained under your master, and then you go out into the world or whatever, and you're doing like an internship somewhere, and then all of a sudden, your whatever stops working, and you're like, oh no, and so like, that something's happened, and like that would be such a cool hook for your character to you're like, I need to find my master because something happened.
My friends did a thing where they brought up like this entire conversation of, is it selling a magic item if you infuse it with the Artificer ability, and then a couple of days later it loses its ability because you infuse something else? So would you, like, you obviously know it's selling something under false pretenses, but would, like, how far could you get away with that until something bad would happen?
I think that depends on the cities you do it in and the worlds you do it in.
I would say that, like, if it's a pretty well-known
I will twist that so that it is actually more useful, or you give somebody, say that you, once again, there's a human in a mining organization. He's the only one that can't see in the dark. You offer to rent. He's able to rent your goggles of the night your goggles of the night, and so he has to pay for it like every week. And if he doesn't pay, you turn it off.
Oh, that's pretty good, actually.
So yeah,
rent a magic item.
Yeah, essentially. I mean, you're limited because there's only the one of you, and you're but you give him the bag of holding and the goggles of the night, type of thing. And so it's one of those things that I don't know. It has a lot of, once again, its utility. The infusions are really cool. Their utility, but it's also could be different ways. Can be helpful, can be detrimental, depending on artificial specialists look into that. Right tools for the job. You've learned how to produce exactly the tool you need. With thieves' tools or artisan's tools in hand, you can magically create one set of artisan's tools in an unoccupied space within 5 feet of you. Creation requires 1 hour of an uninterrupted work, which can coincide with a short or long rest. The product of magic, the tools are not magical, and they vanish when you use this feature again. So,
that's really cool.
Yeah, so you can give yourself tools.
Yeah, you can give yourself like a poisoner's kit, an alchemist kit, all that type of.
One of the things that we're doing with my character is talking to the GM about it, because we have one of the other players is a cook, and she doesn't. We don't have like she doesn't have like, she has some setup, but she doesn't have a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a blacksmith, and I have like the tools and stuff, but essentially setting it up so that having like a junk cart, and that's my cart where we just have a ton of junk, and then essentially I set it up so that give me an hour during downtime, and then now she has a cooking she has a kitchen.
Yeah.
And then when she cleans everything and whatever, throws it all back in there, and then I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get some work done and repair stuff or whatever, and then make stuff, and then I turn it into a blacksmith thing. Like it's one of those like.
It's really cool, honestly.
It seems very much like engineered, but it's once again the right tool for the job. Like you're like, what do we need? Once again, this is, like I said, this is one of those. It's a very versatile utilitarian class, which in a game with fighters and barbarians and wizards and rogues, like you're like, I'm over here and I got an egg timer, like
the egg timer is connected to something else.
But it's you're like, oh fuck, okay, I'm not, like, you could feel underappreciated, essentially, but I mean, when the cleric goes down and you have the artificer walks over and pokes you with a stick, and now you're healed, like it's, I don't know, it's the mentality. If you like, it's kind of definitely a support role type of class, at least off the bat. Ability score, tool expertise, that one is really cool.
Yeah, you get to double your proficiency with something that you already have it in.
Yeah, for any ability check means you proficiency with a tool, which once again, if you take 2 levels of Bard and then 6 levels of Artificer, technically all tools
Our freaking
our minimum base proficiency, if not expertise. Flash Genius, you gain the ability to come with solutions under pressure. Whenever you or another creature you can see within 30 feet of you make an ability check or saving throw, you can use your reaction to add your intelligence modifier to the roll. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier. You gain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Like, that's super cool because, you know, ability check or saving throw. So it's not an attack roll, but, you know,
it helps you with stuff,
you
know, ability checks.
Yeah, you really need that. You really need somebody to, you know, unlock that door, or, you know, you really need, you know, this person to succeed on that persuasion check. Like, it's
you don't want to, you know, have your entire party executed or put in jail for something.
You know, or, you know, your wizard is concentrating on a fucking wall of force or something, and it's holding back, you know, Niagara Falls, and you're like, we need this to not drop. You're like, hey, buddy, I need you to keep your together. And he's like, thanks. Like, it's that bonus to their constitution to maintain their spell. Magic item adept. This is where they get disgusting.
You achieved a profound understanding on how to use and make magic items. You can attune up to 4 magic items at once, so that goes up, so it doubles. You can craft a magic item with a rare.
3, so it goes up by 1.
Oh, it goes up by 1?
It's normally you can attune to 3 items, so that brings you up to 4.
Oh, okay. If you craft a magic item with a rarity of common or uncommon, it takes you a quarter of the normal time and it costs you half as much the usual gold. Oh, wow.
Yeah, so at level 10, so you're talking about selling defunct magic items or whatever. At level 10, I could craft a wand of Cure Wounds for pennies in, like, a day.
You could craft +1 weaponry.
Right, yeah, I know. I'm just saying, like...
Well, I'm just saying, like...
I mean, if we need... Oh, we're worried about, you know...
Gold.
We don't want... Yeah, we're worried about gold, or I'm worried that the... We're kind of getting our asses kicked a lot lately. Give me, like, a week or two. And suddenly now I have 4 or 5 wands of Cure Wounds. So you need to heal somebody. You know, the fighter needs to heal the cleric. The fighter, like, it's... Everybody can heal. Which, it's one of those things that increases survivability. You know? Yeah. But yeah, and common or uncommon. So, I mean, that's stuff like... I mean, the common stuff is kind of mostly meh. Yeah. But once again, that's stuff that you can... I think it's like 50 gold to craft it.
So you literally...
Or 50 gold to buy it?
Yeah, 50 gold to buy, typically. Or
maybe it's 50 gold to... I don't know. But whatever the price is, yeah, you could...
0 to 100 is typical for common, 150 for 100 for uncommon, and it keeps going
right, exactly. And so, I mean, but...
I mean, shit, you could theoretically craft healing potions, because those are technically magic items.
True, yeah. But yeah, so it's I figure Cure Wounds are a lot easier.
Yeah, a whole lot easier.
And they recharge.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, if you don't want to do, like, for some reason, a thing of Cure Wounds.
Or, Wand of Magic Missile.
Because those just hit. There's no save. You're just getting hurt with 3d4.
Exactly. 3d4 plus 1 per d4.
Yeah. Spell storing item. You can now store a spell in an object. Whenever you finish a long rest, you can touch one simple or martial weapon or one item that you can use as a spellcasting focus, and you can store a spell in it, choosing at first or second level from the Artificer spell list that requires one action to cast. Huh. You don't need to have it prepared. Huh. Okay. While holding the object, a creature can take an action to produce the spell's effect from it. Blah, blah, blah. If it requires concentration, you need to keep concentration.
Spell stays an object until it's been used a number of times equal to twice your intelligence modifier.
So basically, it has a set amount of charges.
Once again, Cure Wounds up to 10 times.
Yeah.
Or
that's pretty good.
Absorb elements, or it's
got potential there.
I think they start kind of slow, but I think there's definitely an exponential growth with the stuff they have. Magic Item Savant. Your skill with magic items deepens. You can now attune up to 5 magic items at once. You ignore all class, race, spell, and level requirements on attuning or using a magic item.
Oh my god. Magic item master. You can now attune up to 6 items at once, which pretty good.
Oh, yeah, and then
Soul of the
No, I read this one.
Okay.
You've developed a mystical connection to your magic items, which you draw on for protection. You gain a +1 bonus to all saving throws per magic item you are currently attuned to.
If you're reduced to 0 hit points, you are not killed outright. You can use your reaction to end one of your Artificer infusions, causing you to drop 1 hit points at a 0. Dude, that's actually not that bad. I can see this like that you're fighting in the dark. You're about to go drop to 0 hit points, and like there's a human like backed up into a corner, and you choose his dark vision goggles, and he's like, "Who turned off the lights?" And you're just
no.
I need this.
Right, and I mean, yeah, but it's infusion. So at this point, at level 20, you have 12 known and 6 items. So you could do that 6 times.
Yeah, that's not bad actually.
So and that's assuming that you aren't a if you're an orc, you could technically do it 7 times.
Yeah, because you got
if you have Death Ward cast on you, that's at least 1 more time. Like it's.
If you're playing Apex Legends, you're probably running with Revenant.
It's almost like it'd be funny if you had a. Oh god, if you were doing, I know you fucking love Gestalt. So having a Gestalt monk artificer, because the one of the ones. Because one of the ones. Well, technically they get proficiency in all saving throws. I think at one point. At level 4, that's another weird combo. Is I want to be 14 monk, 6 paladin. So I get a proficiency in all saving throws from 14 levels of monk, and then at level 6 you get the charisma bonus to all saving throws. As a paladin, but there's a monk, like Monk of the Sweet Death or something from the Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide. That's like essentially when they would be dropped to 0. They could spend a key point and drop to 1 instead. So by level 20, they could get dropped 20 times. And they're like, I'm out of key points, but I could do this all day. Like,
I'm just imagining like it's that moment where it's like that meme from SpongeBob. It's like, how many times do we have to teach?
Do this, old man. Yeah, right.
Do this lesson, old man.
Right.
It's like you just keep getting wailed on. You keep getting dropped, and you're just like, I'm gonna have a permanent -5 to my intelligence modifier now because of how much brain damage I've had.
I've had so many concussions.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really that like a lot of classes have really good abilities. You know, when they get to 20, like, but +1 to, like, because you're at that point you have +6 to all saving throws, and if you have a paladin in your group, that's another +5. Like you're like just the paladin and the artificer up front going, bring it. Like you're like, weren't you a backline person at one point? Yep, but now I'm in heavy armor. Like it's like I'm damn near unkillable.
Yeah, I'm doing my job, bitch.
It's like, what do you need me to do? All right,
That's it for the base Artificer.
Yep, and then they have the specialists, which is alchemists, which I don't want to go into all of the different specialists.
Yeah, we're going to be doing subclasses at a later point, if I'm correct.
Probably alchemists are cool. Armorer's the Tony Stark. Artillerist is pretty cool.
You put a little like gnome inside of Iron Man, so it's just like he's got a little exoskeleton.
Battlesmith is, I've discussed it before, but Battlesmith's my favorite, just because of all the other stuff they do. They do a lot of cool stuff. But yeah, we'll go. I'll go through some of the infusions. Arcade propulsion armor. I think that allows you to fly, sort of. Armor of magical strength. Boots of the winding path. Enhanced arcane focus, which is actually, once again, that's a good one with the group because, like, that one is useful as when holding the item, a creature gains a +1 bonus to spell attack rolls. In addition, the creature ignores half cover when making a spell attack. You know who could use that? Who has really, once they've used their 2 spells per short rest, and then depend entirely on their only fucking cantrip?
Eldritch Blast.
Yeah, and now it ignores half cover.
Or if you do Spell Sniper,
yeah,
ignores cover entirely.
Yeah,
but that's a feat.
Yeah, no, I know. But it's one of those things that... But this is at level 2. At level 2, you can have this.
Yeah, that's fair.
So at level 2, they could be having their range up to 300 and adding their charisma modifier to the damage, and you could be like, here's a +1 to attack, so you hit more, and ignores half cover. So you're like, it's once again, this is if you play in a group that meshes well, that's Artificer it's even exponentially better. Enhanced defense, you just make magic armor, temporarily enhanced weapon, helm of awareness, homunculus. Servant is pretty cool. Mind sharpener.
Is that all the sub one that you're doing?
No, this is the infusions.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't looked at the infusions.
Repeating
I was
shot.
wondering what the fuck is this.
Repeating shot that's one that +1 and damage rolls when used to make a ranged attack. It ignores the loading property if it has it. So it's kind of like that magical repeating. Replicate magic items. That's the bread and butter, I think. But at level 2, you can get an alchemy jug, a bag of holding, a cap of water breathing, goggles of night, rope of climbing, sending stones, wand of magic detection, or wand of secrets. Like, some of those aren't terrible. Some of those aren't they're, it's kind of it runs the gamut of useful stuff. But turning weapon, there's just it's a lot of cool stuff. So. What I like, there's so much for me to like, but I think I've kind of covered it though. I love how versatile the class is, or can be, and how utilitarian it is, because it does remind me of wizards, that they're less offensive than wizards spell wise. I mean, they are magical. They're magical engineers essentially.
Yeah,
I would say their entire. Where they shine is if you're playing in a game where your GM is going to allow you to craft magic items, this is a great class. And you can get money at level 10 when you can craft stuff for cheaper. Then you're making even more money. It's one of those things that's a good downtime thing to raise money. You can build goodwill.
But you can build, what is it, Castle Greyhawk in, I think it's Critical Roles is Castle Greyhawk?
I have no idea.
1-for-1 that, just purposely rip off Critical Role, make a character named Opal or some shit.
Oh, right. Yep. They have to
be Critical Role for...
They have to be a Genazi first, though, I think.
And you have to be an entitled white girl who thinks that everything is entire thing.
Shit, damn it. I'm just an entitled white guy.
Sorry, Kalvin.
I'm just an entitled... Yeah.
You're close. You're close.
So close.
No. Here's the thing. You can choose to identify as a woman, do it, and you'll get even farther because now you're transgender.
No. I think that's bordering on not okay.
It depends.
No. Me doing it would not be okay.
Oh, yeah.
I think you bringing it up is bordering on not okay. Because that's kind of making light of their situation.
No, I'm making light of specifically the entire fact that person decided to think that making a tiefling is something you can copyright. That's what I'm more or less joking on. Because you said that you're not a woman, so going on towards that.
Right.
Not trying to insult the transgender community whatsoever.
That's glad you clarified, because I was like, if I'm like, then...
No,
I don't always notice things, so that could be a thing where...
No, I have multiple friends that are transgender. I have no issues with them.
Yeah,
it's just the fact of that one.
I have a friend that's black, so I can't be racist. Anyway. Using your own... Boom! How does it feel, motherfucker?
Not bad. I still would sleep with one.
I mean, that's fair.
Yeah. That's it's still
because I don't. It doesn't. Anyway, we're not getting into that in this video. That's it.
My intentions were elsewhere, so I actually appreciate you getting there.
I think that they could be underwhelming, though. I think it's definitely one of those. If you want to be a character that kind of shines from the get-go, probably not. If
this is definitely one of those slow burning movies where the ending is really good. The Hateful Eight, if I'm correct, you have so much story and build up to get to the part that everyone loves. So honestly, yeah, depending on who you DM with, you could start off at a certain level unless you want to build it up from the ground. This has some really neat abilities that are towards the later half of the entire class. So yeah, it's something that I would say building the character would be a lot more fun to get up to that level, because not only are you happy to get to them and you feel like you've earned them, but like Jesus, you have a lot of stuff that you can actually do to benefit yourself and or the party. Plus, no, that's a steel defender. My bad.
Right, because I mean, there's items that you're like, oh, I can't use that, and you're like, oh no, I can use any artifacts that require a specific race or class. You can use it, and like it's like you can use any magic item, and you can tune up to 6. Like I haven't looked because I'm not trying to break the game or anything, but like what disgusting combinations. Because I mean, you could technically wear. I mean, one of the big things is wearing the girdle of giant strength and the hammer of thunder hand or whatever it is. Like there's some things that like it only works if you're like a dwarf. But you're like, no, fuck it. I'm gonna be this 6'2", 115 pound soaking wet, tiny man thing. But I'm putting on this girdle and I got this hammer and
now I'm absolutely a unit.
I am yoked. Also,
and you're still like really small, but you got the strength of 20 men for some reason.
Right, and so it's one of those things that you're like. So it's definitely if you're playing in a game, actually this would be. So if you're playing in a game where crafting is allowed, this class really shines. If you're playing in a game where magic items aren't common, this class could really shine. If the GM allows it, because you're still using magic, so you're still like a wizard using magic, so you're not. And I mean, maybe they don't let you craft magic items, or maybe it's more, which makes the whole you finding recipes for crafting and magic items even more relevant.
Gives me Final Fantasy vibes.
Right.
You have to find all the recipes for food.
Right, and but you're the one that's going to craft the ultimate weapon. So like it's it's one of those things that it really depends on the game. So it could be crappy, but I think it's a solid class. Like it's like I said, it starts kind of underwhelming, and then a lot of classes can get disgusting later on. But
it's not as bad as a ranger.
Well, no.
See,
the difference is rangers are underwhelming, and then it's a tangent line because it never changes. Yeah. Revised ranger is like better.
Yeah, revised is starting better, but the thing is like I actually one of the people in my campaign was going to start off with Artificer as one of the Gestalt classes, but changed it ironically to Rogue. Right? Everyone wants.
It's not ironic. That's just par for the course, considering what you told me.
Yeah, everyone just wants to be a rogue all of a sudden in my games, but it's it's something that I actually, after reading this, I kind of really want to see where this goes. So now it's like, if someone does, because I still have some people who haven't told me their classes, if anyone plays an Artificer, I 100% am going to be seeing what I can do to not only give them like the ability to shine, but also like work with them, like how I was bringing up, like the renting stuff that you said, like that's really, really fucking good. Like I can see players starting businesses where like they hire artificers who will rent out things, and if someone misses a payment, they'll
turn it off,
null and void it. Like that's really good. I can see how that works really well and stuff.
But it can also be in the same aspect. It can be beneficial too. Because it could be seen as like being a landlord and you're renting or rent-a-center, being like rent-a-center where you're like, oh thanks, now I have a bed to sleep on. How great that our society has allowed me to own a bed. Dobby has a bed. Dobby is a free type of thing. Can
you imagine making beds that give you the full benefits of sleep after an hour? So what you can do is create like a mining business where you rent a bed and you rent a pickaxe or whatever you need. The bed gives you full benefits, hour of rest, or 8 hours of rest after an hour of sleeping.
I would say even if it was 4 hours, if it's equivalent to what elves do, like 4 hour. Well, I mean, technically you still have to rest. Like you still can't do stuff, but you only have to sleep, quote unquote, for 4 hours. But yeah, it could be.
I can see how this would work, but I think that would be a little OP when it comes to a traveling party, because if you get someone say like you have 4 beds and 4 party members.
Well, see, here's the thing:
it count as a short or long rest?
You're only allowed to take 1 long rest per 24 hours.
That is true.
And you can limit it. Like, you can make it so it's not a magic item. You can allow it to be an infusion, but make that only once per 24 hours. Like, so then you're not. It's already kind of ridiculous. So
absolutely.
So you're not screwing over a player who, like, if a player's like, oh, you're like this, and you're like that's a cool idea. Sure, if you want to make that an infusion, I'll allow you to make that an infusion. It'll give you, long rest, and maybe also give it the benefit of like that feat, the one that gives you like charisma bonus or whatever to your temp as 10 hit points or something. Your level plus. There's one that like there's a charisma one where you kind of like talk for 10 minutes and it gives everybody like
I don't remember the name directly, but it's like
morale boost or something. And it's like everybody gets like your level plus
speech,
your,
and like everyone gets a certain
like
amount
your
of
level plus charisma modifier is 10 hit
I know
points
what you're talking about. I wish I could remember it though.
But yeah, it could be something like that. You're like, you know what? That's not. It's an infusion. It's supposed to be utility. It's not game breaking.
And I can also, at least from my games, say that
shit. There's what is it? If you have a warlock with that book, one of the ones in I think Xanathar's allows you to, like Book of the Moon or whatever. Like it makes it so that you don't have to sleep. So you can spend your entire long rest as long as it's a light activity. You could spend your entire your long rest just reading your book or doing like. So you could have a warlock that doesn't ever sleep, and they just spend their entire nightly long rest on watch, but also doing research on something. Like it's not like there's already precedence for it. So I guess you could allow it that as long as it's light rest. So which actually that would be okay. I'm writing that down. No, because that's actually a really cool idea.
I accidentally gave you like a whole ass idea.
Well, no, because that's actually a really cool idea for. I'm gonna actually mention it to my GM.
This is actually like really cool because like imagine, like you said, keeping it at the once a long resting. Like imagine you're right about to face like a boss. You're going to. It's been leading up to this point, and you don't have all the time. Like you need an hour's worth to rebuild. Like everyone uses it, their beds or whatever. And you have your stuff reslotted. Your spells are redone. Right. Your health is all maxed out. Like how useful that would be.
Especially because if you're in a group where, you're in a group with like stuff that gets a lot. Like if you're an artificer in a group with say like a fighter, a warlock, a druid, and a monk. All of those get stuff back. Like during a short rest, druids get their spell shaping, their shape.
Wild shape.
Thank you. Their wild shape back. Monk gets all of their key points back. Fighter gets their ability to heal back. Like
second wind, if I'm correct.
Yeah. And warlocks, obviously, we know what warlocks get. Everything.
We get more than just Eldritch Blast, but not for long.
Yeah. For tree fitting. But it's one of those things that. Sorry.
I just don't know why that joke always sends to me.
But it's one of those things that that's the type of game where if you're playing in like a dungeon, if you're doing a dungeon crawl, like World's Largest Dungeon, which I don't know if you've ever seen that.
I have not.
I own it.
I've heard the name, but I know nothing of it.
I'll show it to you after this video. I own it.
All right.
But it's like it's a mega dungeon. If you're doing a mega dungeon, and the GM is willing to let, as long as like say there's an hour between long rests, kind of like follow the same rules of an hour between short rests, follow the same rules for a long rest, type of thing. Using classes that get short rest stuff back. Anyway, that's detracting from the main point. But yeah, I think I love Artificers, and I'm really they really do get really nasty at higher levels. Just the magic item combinations are just
what you can do
nasty.
It's impressive. I'm not gonna lie. It's really impressive.
And like I said, they're one of the and that's if you're not counting. Which I mean, technically, it's not an official class, but there is a witch class that uses intelligence, but that's not an official class. So of official classes, of the 15 official classes, because I count blood hunters.
I'm waiting for them to be a fucking core class.
Only 2 of them are intelligence based. I think at least.
If I'm correct, now are we talking about spellcasting?
Well, because it's their primary stat.
I think Bloodhunter just got changed recently to having a proficiency in intelligence instead of wisdom. So I think they just got changed to intelligence.
Yeah, but they're more of like a melee class that uses intelligence. So it's
if Profane Soul used it, but that's a subclass. So yeah, if we're going purely off of that,
But like a lot of classes, like there's I think at least 3 classes. But see that's you have to count that Artificer was added recently, whereas like if you're like Druid and Cleric use Wisdom, and that's only 2. You're like but they're in the player's handbook. They're 2 base classes. So like there's like 4 classes if you're counting Paladins that use Charisma as one of their. I mean, Paladin it isn't technically their primary stat, but it's pretty close. Like
it's pretty good because your magic is
most things. It's Dex, Strength, Con. Those are fundamental for any class. Like it's intelligence is so. Anyway,
no, I got what you're.
I love but I love Artificers. So, any closing thoughts? I think we already pretty much.
I think we've had more than enough for that. No, I'm good. I'm just
this what was supposed to be a short video is not.
I'm not gonna lie. Having these ideas to give to people it's really good.
All right, so that is our take on Artificer. If you have any comments, what you like, what you hate about Artificers, leave some messages below. Let us know, and we will.
I find it really funny because on my screen, because of how like the Zoom thing's set up, you pointed down directly at my screen, and I was like, "Yeah, you can go to my channel."
Ask that fucker.
But I like this class. I'm not gonna lie. I definitely want to play one.
So it went from like that's kind of cool to.
I want to play one. I just got to see my subclass, but core class, I want one.
Fuck yeah! All right, I'm Kalvin.
I'm Brandon.
Bye.
See ya.
Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment. And now you get to listen to the outro song. And that's the outro song. Yeah.